guys, welcome back to Random Doctor Talks, where we talk about all things medicine and all things life. I'm Dr. Hope, and today, breaking news. We're talking about medical news. So basically what's happened in the medical and the health space in the past 2 months. Yes. So it's just a rundown. We'll talk about outbreaks, we'll talk about general news, and that'll be it. So you can get your daily health news from here. Okay, so let's start. So outbreaks. So we've had 3 outbreaks within this past 3 months. I'll start with the first one, and which I'm sure you're all aware of. Super gonorrhea. It was everywhere. Super gonorrhea everywhere. So what happened was there was an outbreak of gonorrhea that was resistant to the usual medication, which is antibiotics that are used to treat it. And how this came about was, of course, there's the misuse of antibiotics, which happens. And it's not just antibiotics used to treat gonorrhea, but antibiotics are used in general. So they can treat a cold, they can treat an upper respiratory tract infection, they can treat a UTI, a urinary tract infection. So once we misuse these antibiotics, then this is what happens, there's resistance. So what was happening is there was a campaign advocating for sexual health, and from that, I had a discussion with a friend of mine, and her friend owns a pharmacy, and they were just talking about what are commonly bought after a weekend now in her pharmacy. And the answers were very surprising. You know me, I'd think omeprazole. Why? Because, well, sherehe, and Kenyans drink like their Liza. I don't know, but Kenyans drink a lot. So I'd assume it's omeprazole. But unfortunately, at her pharmacy, the thing that was bought the most was a HIV kit. The home testing kit. That was the most frequent bought thing. And in where she's located, there are very many young people. So I was like, what? A HIV testing kit? It's good that they want to check their status, but I think it also gives you a rough idea of the sexual activities that they're engaging in. Something else you said is commonly bought, of course, is P2 and the pregnancy detection tests. So I was just like, I think we need to advocate for more sexual health, especially to our youth. There needs to be more talks on protecting yourselves and safe sex practices, just because, the future is near. So they don't need to hear these things in the future. They need to hear them now so that at least they can take precaution. So that was the first outbreak. Then the second outbreak was malaria. I'm sure you've heard, a few doctors have talked about it even on social media, but it's been breaking news, especially I think in the past week. So Cambry released this statement. So there's the Anopheles stephensi. Anopheles is the mosquito. Remember the female Anopheles mosquito? You all did science. I'm sure you remember. Yeah. So Anopheles stephensi, I don't know if I'm saying it well, is a new malaria vector that thrives in both urban and rural settings. So now we're so used to saying malaria is only in malaria endemic zones. The coast, western Kenya, and parts where there's just a water body that is a breeding ground for the mosquitoes. And even as doctors, we have to ask our patients who have malaria-like symptoms if they have a history of travel to malaria endemic regions. But now with these changes, urban settings, so everywhere is a malaria endemic region. Yeah, okay. And then, so researchers fear that the new mosquito poses a serious threat that might reverse the gains made in the fight against malaria. So I don't know if you remember, but back in 2021, WHO had come out, or rather they had put out a notice that there was a malaria vaccine that has been approved, and they were ready to roll it out. I don't know where they have reached yet, but now this stephensi over here is trying to take us back. It's trying to rule our vaccine null and void. It'll need to stop, please. It'll need to stop. And on that note, I think I need to check just where we are in terms of that vaccination, and I'll give you feedback on another video. But for now, please guys, Cambry has said, get your mosquito nets. Treated mosquito nets. In this Nairobi heat kwanza, there are 2 things you'll fight at night. It's either you'll fight the heat or you'll fight the mosquitoes. So pick a struggle, and malaria should not be the struggle you pick. Then something else you can do is use mosquito repellent. Me, I can't sleep in a net, so I lather myself in repellent. I lather myself in that mosquito repellent. And then the other thing you can do is just sleep in long sleeve clothes. If the mosquito doesn't have access to your skin, it's not going to bite you. So please, now you know, try do those things, even as they try and figure out what stephensi is all about. Then the other thing is, in case you didn't know, there's been a cholera outbreak. It started late last year, but even this year there have been some cases that have been seen, and most of the time it's weddings. I don't know what happens at weddings, but if you talk to the patients who come and test positive for cholera, I was at a wedding. Guys, what's happening to our hygiene standards? Our hygiene standards. Because cholera is a fecal oral transmitted infection, meaning from stool, or rather from the poop to your mouth. So if someone doesn't wash their hands well and they go spreading the cholera everywhere, we'll all get it. Now imagine it's spread in the kitchen. People who do mass cooking, hey, we are living in tough times. But MOH, Ministry of Health, has taken an initiative, and they've been having cholera vaccination drives in, I think, the northern part of Kenya. And the vaccine is also available in Nairobi. So if you want to have the vaccine, please, nione kando, see me on the side, and I'll lead you to a place that you can have the vaccine given to you. It's an oral vaccine, and I hear it tastes bad. Like polio, you know, I know you don't remember, but polio, the way, these oral vaccines, by the way, they need to just find a way, either add sugar, do something, because it doesn't taste nice. But yes, it's an oral vaccine. So that's it on outbreaks. Those are the 3 outbreaks we've had. Now we are going to move to news, breaking news. The camera person will do that thing, breaking news, and then it comes over here. I need to get serious. Anyway, so for breaking news, we'll start with the first thing. I'm sure we all heard about the story of the, what you call it, UV lamps in nail salons causing cancer. So we talked about this, and from the studies, the cancer was brought about just due to long exposure. So you have your nails or your fingers in that thing for over 20 minutes, so that poses you having a higher risk of getting cancer. But it was in an individual, so they haven't said that it will definitely cause cancer. Remember, guys, what they have said is there's a high risk of you getting the cancer. So what you need to do is just prevent yourself from getting that risk. Use your sunscreen. Before you put your hand under there, carry sunscreen and paka. Tell the nail tech, by the way, I need to put that sunscreen, and then that's when you'll go under the UV rays. Someone also mentioned that they've stopped using UV lamps, and now they use LED lamps, but they both use UV rays, so the exposure is still there, even if it's like at a lower the intensity of the UV rays in the LED lamp is less, the risk is still there. So ladies, men, protect yourselves. Just wear your sunscreen, please. I mean, don't fight it. Wear your sunscreen. At least do something. Sawa. Then the other thing is men's family planning. There's a pill now. I'm sure you also eat it. Men, come kidogo. Let's talk on the side. So there is a pill that has been developed that acts as family planning for men. So the burden now should not only be on the woman. I want to see how this is going to be rolled out, and I just want to know, please, up in the comment section, just raise your hand if you're willing to take it, if you're willing to try, and if you're not, please say why. Because remember, women take these things frequently, and they have side effects that they go through, or rather they withstand. So please, if you're not willing to take it, I'd like to understand why. But now it's available, so I want to see it being rolled out, because family planning is such a, it's a difficult thing. If it's the pill, there's the side effects. If it's the injection, there's also the side effects. If it's the what do you call it, the IUCD, now your periods are heavy. As in, there's just no winning. So if this one is better and works as effectively as the other ones, me advocate for it. And by the way, guys, remember, there's no family planning that's 100%. So regardless of whether you own the pill or not, or you have an IUD, or what's the other one, or you're getting the injection, none is 100%. So the only 100% family planning is abstinence. Just remember that. Then the last thing in news is so WHO released a statement saying that they advocate for hepatitis B testing in all pregnant mothers, and vaccination for all babies within, I think it was within the first 24 to 48 hours, and then now the booster within the duration of time given. And I just thought about it, and I was like, okay, fine. Yes, we do screen for hepatitis B in pregnant mothers, but I know as a child, it was not mandatory for us to have hepatitis B vaccine. So I wonder if that has changed. I think I would need to look at the vaccination schedule just to see if it has been incorporated into what we call the KEPI vaccination. KEPI is the vaccination guidelines mandated by Ministry of Health, meaning that every child should have these certain vaccinations, and then there are other vaccinations that are baby friendly. So it's not a must you have them, but it's good to have them. So I want to see where they've placed this hepatitis B vaccine. But yes, if you have a baby, if you're currently pregnant, please make sure that you talk with your pediatrician about having the hepatitis B vaccine given to your child on top of the other ones that are mandated. Okay. Then the last thing I'll talk about is in terms of news is cervical cancer. And why I'm talking about this is just because over the past few weeks, I've gotten a few questions in terms of what's the range for cervical cancer vaccination. And I just want to put it out there that when WHO rolled out these guidelines, the vaccination was intended for both boys and girls, starting from the age of 9 to 26 years of age. But the priority was taken, how do I put it? In Kenya, we prioritized women just because the effects of HPV are more detrimental in women compared to men. So the amount of vaccines we had were not enough to give both the boys and both the girls. So like the government was giving, they had a drive where they were vaccinating girls from the ages of 9 to 14 years. And then the vaccine is still available even after that age, but now you'd have to pay for it. So yes, boys can be vaccinated against HPV and girls from the ages of 9 to the age of 26. But especially this one is for women. After the age of 26, it's advocated that you first have a pap smear done, or you have some testing for HPV just to see if you've been exposed to the virus, so that the effects of the virus will be, should I say 100%, or they'll be mandated if you haven't been exposed. But if you've been exposed, there's some necessary treatment that has to go on beforehand so that you don't get the vaccine and then the side effects and everything. So yes, so if you're over 27 and above, please make sure you have a pap smear done and HPV testing before you get the vaccine. So talk to your gynae about it. Then now, these are just highlights now. So we've talked about the news, breaking news, and now we'll talk about highlights. So I was going through Twitter and I saw that on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, so there was a blood drive, and there are two individuals who are the highest blood donors in Kenya, and they came to donate blood again. So let me just read what was on the tweet. So it said, the highest blood donors in Kenya showed some love this Valentine's season by doing it one more time. So the names are this Kennedy Sanya, who has donated blood 101 times. Hey, me was like 101. Kwani, how much blood does he have to give? What? And then there was also Aisha Dafala, who donated 74 times. And I was just like, that's amazing. And me, I really want to donate blood. I've talked about this a lot. And I had my HB taken and I have enough blood to donate now. But when I think about the size of that needle, I am haunted. Guys, I think I can see through that needle. Like the barrel is so big. But I need to do it. And if you haven't donated blood before, please purpose to do so at least once a year or like once in your lifetime. You never know who it might help and it'll go a long way. So prioritize that and let's be like Kennedy and let's be like Aisha and help out someone who may be in need of that blood. By the way, our blood banks are really dry, and you'd find that in hospitals what happens is if you want to have blood transfused to maybe a relative or an individual, people have to come and donate so that they replenish what was in the blood bank. So we don't have enough to just be giving the blood like that. So if we can replenish our blood stores, our blood banks, just to have enough so everyone can have enough blood at the time that they need it without having to outsource for people to come and replace it, I think that would be a good place to be. Then, hey, this is something else, and this one was shocking. So this past week, I don't even know how to talk about this. It's just so bizarre. I don't know who said it or like where it came from, but it was said that doctors can't work abroad without getting clearance from the government. So, because they say there's a shortage of doctors in the country. And if you look around, guys, there are so many doctors who are unemployed. So many. So what they're saying doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Please make it make sense. So there are over 400,000 doctors who are jobless, but at the same time, there are not enough doctors. There's a shortage of doctors in the country. The math is not mathing there. Anyway, now, so they'll say that he will need to get clearance before we're able to relocate abroad to be able to practice there. So guys, as I conclude this video, please make sure when you see a doctor, hug that doctor, because they are going through things. We are going through things. It's either, for most of the doctors I know, it's either we want to join tech so that we can work from home, or we want to leave the country. Seeing where things are going, it's not looking good. But anyway, that's it for us today. That is medical news. And I hope you've learned something. In case you didn't know, I hope you've been made aware of something that has been going on. And you'll take the necessary precautions or the necessary steps that are needed. So be sure to like, be sure to comment, be sure to subscribe, be sure to share, and watch our previous videos. For the men, please, I'm looking for your answers in the comment section. If you're going to use the family planning, and if not, why? Bye.